sports are really important vehicles for relationships.
We have purpose. We have a why. We bring people together. We connect.
I feel like God is our greatest supporter and our greatest coach.
Welcome to Rabbi On The Sidelines. This is Rabbi Erez Sherman from Sinai Temple in Los Angeles. This week we are joined by a guest that is a friend of Sinai Temple that has been here just over a year ago. In fact, we were in conversation with this unbelievable human being, with Ryan Terrell, who plays for the Motor City Cruise, and we did a joint Jewish, Muslim, Christian diversity unity basketball clinic. He had just returned from the land of Israel at this time, visiting Jewish, Christian, and Muslim sites. He is a true human rights activist, a former MBA veteran of several unbelievable teams. Most importantly, just a wonderful human being trying to make change in this world, and that's Enes Kanter Freedom. Enes, it's so great to see you online, but even better to see you in person last summer. How have you been?
Thank you for having me. I'm being good. I'm still working out. I'm still in shape. I still got my six-pack. So I've been doing pretty good.
So we met in Sinai Temple, where you had the courage and the humility to walk into our synagogue and to bring people together because of a simple thing that joined us, and that's a basketball. Yes. I have a passion for the game growing up in upstate New York. You have a passion growing up in Turkey, recruited by the University of Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable story with Coach Calipari. And then you had an MBA career. And so I want to begin by talking about a book that just came out by Professor David Hollander at New York University, and it's called How Basketball Can Save the World. He said politicians can't do it, kings can't do it, but a ball can. And so how does this ball bring you to have the ability to maybe not save the world, but at least save human beings for being in relationship with each other?
Right. Oh, well, it's a magical ball. I'll tell you that. Everyone who touches that basketball, it just makes them more happy, more energetic, and it brings people together. You can be from different backgrounds, different religions, different colors, or different anything, but you can cheer for the same team. You can, love the same player and stuff. So that's why I feel like it's an amazing tool to bring people together, especially the kids. And now there's so much social media, and obviously there's so many different apps and all that stuff now. One in the world have on and following their favorite team and favorite athlete on their app. So I think it's a magical thing to bring people together, and we gotta use it.
So let's talk about the children, because that's what we did when you were at Sinai Temple. I was given the charge to say, bring kids together because of the ball, and let's see what happens after. In fact, my mom always tells me that a house of worship, that you should play before you pray. And that's what we did that day when you were here. We played, and then we put on our kippas and our collars. I have a beautiful picture with you and me as a rabbi and a priest, and Omar Kudrat from the Muslim Coalition for America. And we had a real discussions about how this ball can bring people together. And you told the story because you had just gone to Israel. And you said for 2 years you planned, if we could bring these people together with the ball, then that's all I ask for. And you told the story when you were in Israel with Tamir Goodman, a good friend of both of ours, that you got a rebound, you passed to a Palestinian young girl, they passed to an Israeli kid, they made the hoop, but was even better was on the way down the court onto defense. They gave each other a high five, and I quote you to me last summer, you said, that's all I ever could ask for. So how can that moment lead to the next moments of what you're trying to do a year later?
It's been amazing to see how unfortunately there are so many different conflicts around the world. Starting with my country, you see my country is in conflict with Armenia, with Greek people, and obviously you know about the Israelis and Palestinians, and there are so many different conflicts out there, right? And many people have opinions on which side is right, which side is wrong, and many people are tweeting about it. Many people are doing, going to extremes sometimes. But I'm like, no one really, see, when you do that, obviously our young generation sees that and they're like, wow, my mom and my dad and or whoever, there's someone that I look up to is just, going to front of a kosher restaurant and open up a Palestinian flag, or going to a Turkish butcher and saying, I'm Greek, you guys are wrong, and stuff. So I'm like, this is not right thing to do. Somehow we need to find a way to to bring two sides together. And the best way to do it is basketball or use support, to reach out to everyone out there. Because once you put these kids, innocent kids, in the same room, they're like, wow, all I see in my home country is propaganda. This side is bad, this side is evil, this side is horrible. But actually, my teammate who is Jewish, who is Greek, who is Armenian, who's whoever, is actually an amazing person. He
Mm-hmm.
played the ball. He set screens for me. He had an open layup, but instead of taking the open layup, he actually passed me the ball, and I shoot a three, and I made the shot. And it's like they are learning how to win together, how to lose together, how to work together, how to share together. And that is the thing that I want to put in their head. Like, you guys are not enemies. The governments or the military or the politicians can make right or wrong decisions, but you guys don't have to follow what they are doing. Your job is to just go out there and build bridges instead of building walls between two nations or between two countries. So once you put them in the same room, man, they start talking about who is the GOAT, who's going to win a championship, who is a better team, who's your favorite big man. They talk to each other because they watch the same games and they can cheer for the same player. So I have witnessed so many amazing things throughout this basketball camps, and it's been unbelievable.
I mean, the fact that you say between bridges, between walls is a beautiful thing. In the Jewish tradition, there's a song that we sing. We say, Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar ma'od, that the entire world is a narrow bridge. But the next part is the most important. It says, Lo lafached klal, that you should not be afraid.
When you said music, I have been actually listening to this the Jewish song. It's I'm sure do you know the song called the singer name is Ben Snoff, and the name of the song is Jerusalem.
Okay.
It's literally like my favorite song. I just wanted to put it out there. It's like,
so why is it your favorite song? Tell us about that.
And because the name of this, I don't even understand the song. I should look it up and see what it's saying. But just because it talks about Jerusalem, and I've been there, and it was the best experience I've ever been. It was the holiest place I actually ever been to. I never been to Mecca or Medina, but that place, Jerusalem, was the holiest place I've ever been to. And then one of my friends is like, there's a song about it. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then my friend is like, here's a song, listen. And then I'm like, I start listening to it. I'm like, I gotta meet with this singer. I don't know who that is. Ben Snoff. I hope I'm saying.
Have you met him yet?
No, I never met him.
Oh, well,
never met him. I would like to meet him. Wow. So it's like, it became my favorite song.
Actually, when you went to Jerusalem last year, I vividly remember on your Instagram the bravery of you posting from each religious site in your own language. And I asked, who were you talking to? Who was your audience at that moment, standing on the Temple Mount, speaking in Turkish to the Muslims, standing at the Western Wall? I remember you said that somebody came up to you and they said, well, you're the tallest Jew I ever said. And you said, no, I'm just at your wall. So who is your audience when you're going to these different religious places saying, if I can do this, you can do it too?
Exactly. I mean, trust me, before I go there, a lot of people message me. They're like, you are crazy. You're out of your mind. Like, what are you doing? You are not a true Muslim. Oh my God, you should. I think it's still on my Instagram. If you go to my first post, especially when I was praying in the I'm trying to think, I think it was a Western Wall, and I post a video, and I was just reading the comments, and I'm like, this is the reason actually I came here, because I was seeing there was so much hate. I actually went there to pray for Muslims. I actually went there to pray for Palestinians to just make peace between two countries, So no one asked me, hey, what did you pray about? Or what were you saying? They were just attacking me about, oh, why did you go there? I didn't go there to convert. I literally went there to bring Palestinians and Jews together and play basketball. I remember even having a conversation with the kids after one of the prep practices, and I was like, listen, guys, I'm not here to talk about which side is right or which side is wrong. I'm not here to talk about the conflict. And I'm sure many of your friends maybe just bombed in streets before. Many of your neighbors might got killed before, But I think this is what we need for the future. You guys are gonna be the one that who's gonna become lawyers one day, president, prime ministers, senators, congressmen, whoever. Make sure look at next to you and see that that is your friend, that is not your enemy. You guys are gonna be the one who's gonna change the future. So they were like, they turned around and they were just looking at each other, and it was just the best moment. And I just hope, don't look at what the governments are deciding and blame the people. The governments obviously can make mistakes, and they have their own interests, and they have, so many things that going on behind the curtains that we don't know about. But do not hate the religion. Do not hate the people who is, true Jews or true Muslims.
And so a lot of what you've done in your career at 29 years old, you gave up this lucrative MBA career to be a human rights activist. And you had to make that decision. And just recently I saw a beautiful video at, I believe, the Heritage Leadership Conference, where they asked you on stage, like, at what point did you say, okay, I'm doing this instead of this because I can't do both in order to be a moral human being to myself? At what point do you realize, like, okay, I'm going to have the good of the world instead of, honestly, my own wealth?
Freedom won't come without a sacrifice. Someone had to make some kind of sacrifices so our future, our kids, the young generation can have a better and brighter future. So I just wanted to set an example. I was like, listen, there are so many bad in the world, and everyone cares about the money and business and what can I do to, sign a bigger deals and sign more endorsement deals and stuff. And it was just breaking my heart. And I was like, you know what? We need one person to just go out there and said, enough is enough. We don't care about all the dirty money you can just give me, all the endorsement deals or any kind of contract. I'm going to speak the truth. And the beautiful side of it is, no one can get mad at me. No one can challenge me for what I did, because I don't talk about politics. If you look at all my interviews, all my op-eds that I have wrote so far, anything that I've ever talked about, I don't talk about politics. I don't even care about politics. I care about the human right side of it, because it doesn't matter you're from the right, you're from the left, whichever party you cheer for or whoever you voted for, you have to care about human rights, So that's why I was like, you know what? Let's just talk about pure human rights, pure freedom, and pure democracy, where no one can challenge what I say.
And so let's go down the political route just for a second, because I turned on the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and there you were. It was fascinating because I saw you, and in the background, Brittany Griner, which, of course, simply trying to play basketball, get involved in a political scandal. Unbelievable. To see her gain her freedom, and I use that word not lightly, especially in the case of your story, and then you right there. And at the same time, in your beautiful Fox story over this 1 hour, it was my parents who called me and said, that's Enes Kanter, and I saw him at Sinai Temple. You better turn on that TV. This story is unbelievable. And I turned it on, and I see the continuation at the end. You said, you know what? Politics actually might be a world where I can make a difference. And so maybe take us in that journey. And who's cheering you on for that? And what are the goals?
Well, I mean, right now, I go to Congress and Senate all the time. And whenever I go there, I sit down with both sides and talk about some of the problems that are happening around the world. And, talking about it, bringing awareness, it's so amazing, but what can we do to actually bring some concrete actions about all the human rights violations that are happening around the world? And whenever I have conversation with them, they're like, what are you waiting for? We need your voice in the Congress or Senate. You can make a big difference in whatever you care about, whichever conflict or country or we care about. Well, bring that issue in a Congress and actually put put out bills out there, or put legislation out there, or send letters to White House or State Department, or just you can actually make some real changes. The reason I actually want to get into politics is because of I know I can make a big change about a lot of human rights violations are happening around the world. And I think America is the best way to do it, because I can really go anywhere else because of the bounty on my head. But right now, that is probably like far away. I don't right now. Unfortunately, America having their own problem, and this country is so divided. And if you
Really?
go, you gotta lose the 50% of the people. So when you call yourself a human rights activist, just you have to be able to talk to both sides. And even right now, like they're saying this is not the right time yet, because like you have the power to bring two sides together, and that not many people in America have that power, because human rights freedom is a beautiful message that both sides should care about. So right now, use that. But once you get into politics, obviously, because the country is so divided, it's gonna, you might lose your power message. But right now, it is a little too early, but maybe in the future.
No, it's very interesting, because when you were at Sinai Temple, I was just visualizing that room that was gathered to hear you. It was right, left, and center of politics, but it was human rights and basketball that brought us together. I mean, really, one of the only other major NBA players that made that jump was a Bill Bradley, and really did actually bring some people together. Do you think that basketball journey allows you to hop into that other world, or is it a blessing or a hindrance?
I mean, it was definitely a blessing, because basketball gave me NBA. I mean, I talk about the NBA a lot, how they are born down to dictatorships, and there are so many wrong things that are happening, whatever, over there too. But at the end, they give me my platform. I have a huge platform and voice just because of the NBA. So I am very thankful for it, God first, then NBA. But that doesn't mean I cannot hold them accountable. So, I mean, I'm 30. I could have played another like 5-6 years in this league. I'm healthy. I'm still working out, in good shape. But I don't think it's going to happen. But it is what it is. Like we'll see what happens now in the future.
And what has been the response or lack of response from the NBA over this last year that I've heard your story time and time again. You Google your name. I can quote your story from the free Tibet to I won't wear those to the free Uyghurs. I mean, it's an amazing story. Has there been anybody that says, you know what, your story is worth it, and we are going to make some small changes based on what you're saying?
Well, not the NBA, but I just am working with many of the congressmen and senators in the Congress in DC, and we are making huge changes. Right now, I'm not sure how much you're following what's going on, but just recently I had a really good conversation with Congressman Mike Gallagher. He's the chairman of the China Select Committee, and now he is calling out Nike and Adidas for slave labor. And there is an act that we are putting it out there, is Uyghur Forced Prevention Act. So if you have anything to do with the slave labor, you are not allowed to step into America. And that is going to cost some companies billions of dollars. So that is going to be huge. And the other thing
when you say that's the first piece of political legislation that you've sort of had your stamp on, that's going to cause a big difference?
Well, I have few before. We had one about Turkey. We are asking for some sanctions on individuals. We had that coming up, and we have actually look at CEO of TikTok. He came to Congress and had to testify in front of the whole Congress, and they were literally grilling him. And actually, I was banned on TikTok, and I had to text one of my congressman friend while he was asking the CEO of TikTok question. And they unbanned me while he was asking the questions about my account.
Why is that?
So, well, because I was posting things I was like, you know what? We got to hit them with their own weapon. So I had second phone. I downloaded TikTok, and I was posting things about all the human rights violations are happening in China. Literally, not even like around 10 days, boom, they blocked me. So I was banned. And I'm like, I cannot believe they banned me because of that. And they did it in a very terrible timing, because there was literally a hearing a few days later. So I saw that. I sent a text message to one of my friends. I was like, hey, listen, you got to ask him that question, because they literally banned me because of what I was talking about, the violations.
Wow.
And the CEO of TikTok was saying, oh, no, it's not true. We didn't ban him. After that hearing, Washington Post did that investigation, and the TikTok had to tell the truth and said, yes, we did ban Enes, but it was an error in our system.
All right.
And so we are going to fix it. And they fixed it. They unbanned me. So I still keep postings about, the violations over there and stuff. But it just shows that how terrible the situation is. And we are going to take all the corruption down one by one.
So it's interesting that the same corrupt social media that spreads sometimes lies and falsehoods is actually the sometimes same platform that you're trying to fix things as well.
Yeah, I mean, no, TikTok especially was the first thing, because it was actually brainwashing our generation. It was literally manipulating so many kids out there. And I was like, we gotta fix this, because we are sitting here and trying to think about what can we do so our kids have a better future. And on the other side, we are literally fighting against the biggest dictatorship in the world, and they're manipulating our kids. I was like, this is unacceptable.
And so if you go into politics, human rights, activism, in 5 years when we do this show again, what would you like to see from my children, 11, 9, and 7 years old? What do you want their future of freedom in this country to be like?
I think, what I would want in like 5 years from our kids from in America, like just because of I just don't want them to judge to one of each other just because of you're Republican, you're a Democrat, or just because of you Jewish, you're Muslim, you're Christian, whoever you are. I just don't want them to be judging each other. And I want them to sit down and have a good conversation about our differences, because we have more similarities than our differences. And once they sit down and talk, they're gonna find out. I know that dream maybe is the craziest dream, but if we're thinking about hundreds of years from now on, you gotta start with the first step, and this is the first step. Just sitting down and understanding each other. And it is possible, trust me. Like when I went to Israel, and when I said I'm going to bring Palestinians in Israel and do a basketball camp, and they said, listen, man, you are crazy. People are not going to play basketball. They're going to be fighting. Make sure there's no cameras, because there's going to be scandal everywhere. I was like, trust me, I believe in God. They are not going to fight, because we are not going to let any politics or conflict in the gym. Live your politics outside of gym. Live your conflict, or whoever you train, or whatever you're right or you're wrong. Just live it outside of basketball court. When you step in that court, it is all about you, your teammates, basketball, and just having fun. And we did it. We had an amazing basketball camp. And now whenever I have conversation with all the mayors and all the people in Israel, they said, we don't want this only for 2 weeks. We want it for the full year thing. They're like, when are you coming back?
So my question, when are you going back? Is there something in the works for
Good
here in Israel?
Well, I would like to go back. It's a little tough right now because of the bounty on my head. I have to be really careful of where I'm going or what I'm doing. It has to go through so many different people, and I had to let FBI know and stuff. But in America, I'm safe. But anywhere else in America, it has to go through from so many people. But I would love to go back. Trust me, it was so amazing, because it's just like you go to Jerusalem, you see the Holy Land, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like so beautiful. Then you go to Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is a little crazy. It's like the Vegas of of New York.
Don't tell our secrets, Enes. Don't tell them our secrets.
No, I'm not. I was like, you know what I told them though? I was like, I wish you took me to Tel Aviv first, then Jerusalem, so I could ask forgiveness for all my sins in Jerusalem.
Actually, it's fascinating because we have something in our tradition that says Ma'alim b'kodesh v'lo moridin, that you should go up in holiness and not down. So let's start somewhere a little here, and then you work your way up. Yeah.
Yes, I like that.
And I actually heard it in a different show saying that, sort of doing your predictions of the NBA, Lakers, Warriors, etc. It seems like you actually still follow the NBA, even though you're outside of that
I
world.
follow my teammates more than
Interesting.
like the teams. I have like such a good friends throughout my 11 years, so I follow them. I follow my teammates.
And actually, your coach from Kentucky, who even though you never played a minute there, but seems to be very supportive of your journey, he was quoted in your movie that says, if Enes Kanter ran for Congress, John Calipari would vote for him. What does that type of relationship mean when somebody of that stature says, wow, Enes, you're a person that can change this world?
I couldn't even get to play for Coach Cal, but he became my friend, my family. But when the NCAA came back and said I'm not really like able to play basketball ever in NCAA, and Coach Cal said you're still part of our family.
Mm-hmm.
You just could stay here, we'll give you a scholarship, and that meant a lot to me. And now we still keep in touch. He still texts me every once in a while and checking on me and stuff. So it does mean a lot to me.
And something you also told me, again, I'm using a lot of these quotes that you said to me in person, and you said, I lost my family, my biological family, but I gained the family of the world, the humanity of the world.
Yeah.
Maybe just touch on a little bit about how your actions, even though they might help the world, they in fact had repercussions to your own biological family in a deep way.
Right. I mean, like everyone knows now, but the last time I saw my family, it was 10 years ago. Just because I talk about the problems that are happening in Turkey, they had to publicly disown me, and there's no communications, because if I pick up my phone and call my mom or even text my dad, how you guys doing? They will be in jail the next day. So it is
nothing, no communication whatsoever.
I have a brother play basketball in Japan, so I talk to my brother, and my brother talks to them, and I check on my family throughout my brother and stuff. But I mean, now everywhere I go, everyone opened their arm. It doesn't matter, they're Christian, they're Catholic, they're Jewish, Muslim, whoever. They're like, well, you are standing for our kids, so you know what? We are your family. Literally everywhere I go, people are inviting me for Shabbat dinner, for Thanksgiving dinners, or hang out in Christmas and all that stuff. Even like it's so funny because I did this one interview and I told about what's happening to my family and stuff. I had so many DMs on social media. People were taking pictures of their houses and say, hey, we have an empty room. We are your family. Come and stay, whatever you want to stay. I did not take any of the offers. I did not really trust the social media, but no,
that's a beautiful statement, right? I mean, it's interesting. In America, we do that on Halloween, right? Where you open your doors for anybody. We sort of do that on Thanksgiving. In the Jewish tradition, we do that on Shabbat. On Passover, we actually, before we have our Passover meal, we say in the Hebrew or in Aramaic, in English, it's translated as all who are hungry, come in and eat. And it doesn't mean just everybody who's hungry. It means all who don't have a seat at that table, we have that seat for them. And that's what I'm seeing in your story as well.
It's beautiful. No, I did actually. I did went to a couple of dinners, obviously, some of the people I know, and there was this one. It was so beautiful. I still remember. So it was a Shabbat dinner, and I remember we are sitting down in the house. It was not an apartment. It was a house, and I looked around. I was like, I saw every window, every door, everything is like open. I was like, guys, what are you doing? Like, there's gonna be like, why is all the doors and all the windows and everything is open? He said, because we let the angels and we let like, I guess, spirits, whatever, to come into our house, and we welcome everyone. I was like, oh my God, that is so amazing. And it did actually felt like very peaceful at that moment.
Actually interesting. I was just talking to a young woman who became a bat mitzvah of the rite of passage, and she had been to Israel, and I said, if you were going to Israel and showing somebody for the first time, what would you show them? And I said, maybe the Western Wall, like the wall, Tel Aviv. And she looked at me and she said, Rabbi, I would show them the air, because what the air that we breathe there is the air that I want everybody else in the world to also breathe. And that spirituality. When you said the window story, reminded me of that as well, that we all breathe the same air. If we can just bring the same spiritual energy in there as well, we would be in a much better place too.
100%, I agree, man. 100%.
And it's interesting because over this past year too, right? People saw the program that we did here, and I get calls after calls saying, "Oh, you're in contact with Enes Kanter Freedom. We need him in our community. We need his voice. We need his message. We need that model in our community that will tell others that we are also open to this conversation, to be in this conversation of human rights as well." And so I want to conclude with your mom, because you started with the story of your mom when I met you at first, and you can, I mean, anybody can YouTube your name and you tell this story over and over. But basically, it's not about burning American and Israeli flags, but what she told you: don't judge a person until you meet them. And I remember you said when you got here in Simi Valley, you met somebody who was Jewish, and you were afraid because you had to run away. They were going to hurt you, or an American, right? And you realize after you don't judge somebody but meet them, the judgment just falls away. And so, what can the message be as now we go into another crazy year, which will, have divisiveness? But if we can just find those sparks, maybe of those angels that you're talking about, what can we do in the Jewish community and in the interfaith community to help you not just preach a message, but as a famous Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel used to say, to actually pray with your feet, to have some action on the ground that we can help you in what you're doing?
Right. Well, I mean, so right now, obviously, I still love basketball. So, for my human rights work, I am doing it with Congress and Senate and stuff. But I was like, that is not enough. But at the same time, I need to just go on the ground and actually just reach out to communities, reach out to people, reach out to kids. So, I mean, still, basketball is an amazing tool to bring people together. So, right now, I created a foundation, Enes Kanter Freedom Foundation. You can see all of it on nsfreedom.org. Right now, I literally just go around to mosques, temples, or synagogues, or whatever is open, literally churches. It doesn't matter. And first, we play basketball. First, we have fun, we chill, and then after that, we eat. And then after that, we sit down wherever I am. It's either a mosque or a church or a temple, whatever. We sit down and have a conversation. We sit down and have a conversation about why an immigrant coming from Turkey, right, to America is reaching out to these communities and playing basketball and having conversations. It was so funny because when I went to your temple, I was having conversation, and after the conversation, all the kids were coming to me and taking pictures and all that stuff. And I remember one of these kids. She was Jewish. She came to me and she was like, "Mr. Freedom, I have a question." I was like, "Yes, go ahead." He was like, "Are you going to convert to Judaism?" I was just like laughing so hard. I was like, "No, but your religion is amazing. My religion is amazing, but we still have friends." And I don't know if you remember this moment or not. I don't know if you were there, if you heard it or not. And she was like, "Okay, that sounds really cool." I was like, "Perfect." And also, I actually met another. She was not even a teenager. She was like 9 or 10 years old. And before I had a conversation, so me and her were just like, talking about religions and the importance of like standing for your values and not letting your friends change who you are and stuff. So I met with that person. Like, she came to my another basketball camp, and I had a conversation with her family. And her family was like, after she had a conversation with you, she started to go into a temple. And I was like, was she not going before? I was like, was she not going before? It was like, no, because all her friends are Christians, and she just didn't want all her friends to just make fun of her. And because of there are so many false, narrative about Jewish people out there, so she was hiding that she was Jewish. But after she had a conversation with you, and you told her, stand for what's right, stand for your values, and don't. I told her one sentence. I was like, don't let the world change your smile. Let your smile change the world.
Amen.
She was very amazed. And then after that, she started to go into temple again, and she was proud of being who she is. I think that is the beautiful message. I was like, be proud of who you are. Don't let any of your teammates or your friends change you or make fun of your anything that you stand for, and because we can all be friends.
It actually reminds me of that basketball story that we just began with, which was, correct me if I'm wrong, a young Jewish girl spoke to a Muslim basketball player who has a lot of Christian friends, who convinced her to go back to her roots and be proud of who she was. That, my friend, is exactly why we reached out to you after this unbelievable documentary on the Fox News channel. It's not about right, it's not about left, it's not about center. It's simply about humanity and human dignity, and bringing, as actually the book of Genesis, which is a common book for all three religions, is that we are made b'tselem Elohim. Each one of us is made in the image of God. And if we can look into the mirror, meaning not the mirror, but you, when I look at you, I see a reflection of me. And when you look at me, you see a reflection of you. And together, that's actually the reflection of the divine being as well. And so, Enes Kanter Freedom, we are thrilled that you joined us virtually. We cannot wait till you're back here at Sinai Temple when we do part 2 of our Unity
I'll be there
Clinic.
soon. Trust me, I miss the weather over there.
Oh, it's been a cold winter in Los Angeles, but we're looking for a warm summer. But we know that the work that you do is truly sacred work, and we look forward to partnering with you in the days, months, and also years ahead. Enes Kanter Freedom, MBA veteran, human rights activist, proud friend of Sinai Temple, and Rabbi on the Sidelines. Enes, it's so great to see you, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.